Greetings, QCS build fans. Well, here we go. We've got the final video in the Odin NVR. So, as you can see here, this is going to be a video of slides. Because I had no good way to be able to set up and actually record anything, I just took pictures of everything. So, here we go. Anyway, so you can see here, this is the original box that we had set up. So this is an Antec Titan case. And you can see it has our StarTech backplane in it. With also right below that is the StarTech 3.5 inch to 2.5 inch backplane. Has two hot swap 500 gig SSDs in it that are SATA on this particular unit. So this has been deployed for about a year, and as you can see, it's a little dirty. So, but we did get it all cleaned up. You can see that right now, give you an open shot, because I realized I didn't do an open shot of the inside while I was on site, but I went ahead and took a open shot of it now. So it hasn't changed really, other than of course it doesn't have the backplanes in it. It doesn't have the original video card in it. It's got two in this shot. It's got two AsRock Taichi 5700 XT cards installed in it, because I've set it up as a mining rig. So plus it also has the an ARC, Rosewill ARC 750 power supply instead of the original 550 power supply that we had in it. But this current configuration, it's a 2700X Ryzen 7 processor, which is the same chip that was in it before. It's same cooler, same Noctua Redux fan that we had hooked up originally. So, I mean, other than a couple of things, it's exactly the same. This is an older case, and unfortunately they don't make this case anymore. Antec, you kind of suck in that department, I'm just gonna say it. Because you used to make some of the best cases ever, and this was not the first time I had actually used this case. I've actually been in possession of this case for a long time. But I had deployed a couple of servers in this particular case years ago. So file servers, domain controllers, all kinds of stuff in the past. So, but this particular motherboard is an AsRock B450 Pro 4. So it was actually ideal to use as a mining rig. This is what we're got it set up for right now. Because it has two 3-slot spaced PCIe 16 slots on it, so which makes it about perfect for this for a mining setup with 2.5 slot cards on it. So of course you notice we've got some extra fans set up in there to blow some air in there, so because those cards do run hot. So not 3080 hot, but they do run hot. Anyways, moving on. All right, so we went ahead and we got our backplane taken out of the old machine. Got our, both backplanes taken out of our old machine. Got them put in the new machine, which now you can see that we've got our new backplane installed. We've got our SAS breakout cable is plugged in and installed. The one nice thing about the StarTech is you can see that the SATA cables plug in on the open side of the backplane versus the opposite side. So you don't run into that problem with this backplane for ease of accessibility for the cables and whatnot. Which I really, really hated with those Rosewill backplanes. Again, don't buy the Rosewill backplanes. If you're going to do any kind of commercial deployment, do not use those things. You will hate yourself for doing so. Not on the recommended list. Stick to the StarTechs if you're going to do this kind of a thing, or stick to a case that comes with a backplane already in it. But you can also see we've got our RX 570 installed, our RAID controller, and everything else is already set up and ready to go. So, and then this is a front shot with our backplane installed. At this point, we've got the top four. The 3.5-inch backplane has 4 12 terabyte Seagate's Skyhawk drives in it, and you can see that we also have our lower hot swap backplane that has our 2 500 gig drives in it. So, and now you can see where its final resting place is, of sorts. So all fired up, running on all cylinders, and very impressive. Once we got it all configured and we got it all loaded up and everything, this thing runs like a top. It is an absolute beast. That 2970X was the perfect chip for this, with the Arctic Freezer 50 TR cooler on that. It runs super cool. It never gets hot. This thing, it runs like a top now, compared to the other one. The other one, we were running too many cameras, was the problem. And so, yeah, it was just too much overload, too much constant recording time and everything else. So to give you an overview of the scale of this system and why we have to have a machine this big. So we've got 25 cameras that you can see. We're actually going to add 5 more cameras. We're going to add 4 more outdoor cameras and 1 more indoor camera to the system. So they'll have a total of 30 cameras running. So that's going to be a lot of overhead. But if we go to the stats view over here, you can see the reason why we have to do this is because, one, our network utilization is pretty much a continuous 100 megs per second, which isn't a lot because we're running dual 1 gig NICs on the back of this machine. We're not using the 10 gigabit Aquantia NIC on the board at all, which is fine because we don't necessarily need to. We're using about a third of our memory, so we're using about 24 gigs pretty consistently. The disk access really bounces around. It depends on how many cameras are recording at any time of the day. So of course in the middle of the night they don't record a whole heck of a lot. During the day when the business is busy, it records a lot. So that's why we had to go from the RAID 1 to the RAID 5 so we could gain that extra write and read bandwidth off those drives, which now it works a whole heck of a lot better because now we're not getting errors because the drives are backing up so much. But also too, if you look at our CPU utilization, it's basically pretty much idle. It runs at about 10% the entire time. Now the one caveat to this is that the drives are not full yet. Once the drives get full, which will be in about another about 10 weeks, in about another 10 weeks the drives will actually start to get full. And once we've hit 90 days, the system will automatically start purging data. When that happens, the CPU will jump. On the other system, when we try to run it, it would run the CPU at 80-90% all the time, and that was on a 2700X. So what would happen is it would drop recordings because it didn't have enough power to be able to process all the purge data and process all the current recordings at the same time. Also, the issue too is we didn't have enough drive bandwidth to do it. So With this, we should have plenty of drive bandwidth to be able to do it, and it shouldn't be a problem. Because the RAID array on this will do 250 megs per second read write, which is really, really good for mechanical drives. So, but we have plenty of CPU headroom, where even on the other system, if it was just recording and it wasn't trying to do purging or anything like that, it was still running about anywhere from 30 to 50% load, depending on the day. So when you added all that purge load on top of it, it just made the processor peg, which is bad. In this particular use case, it's really bad. So that's why we had to go to a machine this big. So, but this has been running for about 2 weeks now, and it has been running absolutely flawlessly without any issues. Later on down the road, we might do a follow-up video and see in about 90 days what actually starts to happen when we start to run all that purge data through the system. My thought is it's going to handle it just fine. I think we got enough cores and we got enough headroom on the processor and the RAM and everything else that I think will be just fine. So anyways, well, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and like, share, subscribe, and we'll get you more content like this. Next up is going to be the new Epic server that we just got done doing for a client. So it's a totally different case than what we used last time, because of course we can't get the Antec 4U server cases anymore. Damn you, Antec. And you're going to hear me whine and complain a little bit about the case we did use. It works fine. I just, compared to the Antec, I didn't like it nearly as much. So anyways, so stay tuned for that. So again, like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.